Full disclosure, my first slide is up, so it's all about cost, but I'm not an economist. I'm a scientist, I'm an engineer, and I'm a wannabe philosopher, so I need to relate things to things that I can understand. Something simple, something unchangeable, and that's energy. To me, it's all about energy, and energy, life is a competition for energy, not my quote. I read that in a book about food. Michael Pollan, Cooked, great book. Read it if you haven't read it. It'll change the way you think about you. But Michael Pollan talks about the iron law of economy. Do more with less effort. And that's really the way that's really the way it's been since the beginning. Whether we're talking about the first strands of nucleic acids or the first tribe of women gathered around controlled fire. Maybe there were a few men in there if they were behaving themselves. But everything has been about organizing to convert energy into life. There it is. I told you I wanted to be a philosopher. So that's my philosophy moment in this presentation. I hope it doesn't happen again. But we do lose sight of kind of these common elements in our sea of diurnal tasks. We lose perspective. Let's take a look at this scene, for example. Amber waves of grain. Makes you kind of patriotic, doesn't it? What did the first gatherers see? They saw a source of energy. Maybe they saw fuel for their fire, but more likely they probably saw grains that they could grind into a meal, mix with cold water and gulp it down to, yum. I think the breakfast on the veranda was much better. But you know, a futurist among us might actually look at this and say, I see a mouth-watering, ice-cold beer. Who's drank a beer before? All right, come on. Nobody wants to raise their hand. That's ridiculous. But who knows what's inside a beer? I'd say even the ones who didn't raise their hand, who wouldn't admit they had a beer, they know what's in beer because it's Rocky Mountain Springs, it's fields of barley. We know from the commercials, right? Well, how many of you know the process of making beer? A few. Good. We got some home brewers. I guess the tree huggers are also brewing their own beer. It's good. So let me run it through you. So we got to plant the barley field. We got to reap what we sow, harvest, clean, grade, steep in cool water, allow germination to crack the shell. Then we kiln dry, clean again, create a mash from that malted barley. Then you have to sparge the malted barley with hot water. You mix in some hops for flavor. You loiter to pull the wort out of that mash. You boil the wort. You cool the wort, you add some yeast, fermentation, carbonation, refrigeration, beer in hand. Piece of cake, right? Well, I did do some research on this. I went to Blue Jacket Brewery in Washington, D.C. Great place. You should definitely go. Free tours, and they charge you for the beer afterwards, but it's pretty good. Including their sticky situation. It's a bacon maple ale that apparently pairs very well with donuts. So give that a try at your next football game. So. But I knew it was energy intensive because I was going to put it in the presentation, but I didn't realize how much effort goes into the production of beer. And we've lost track of this process. It's become invisible. We know the beer, we can see the beer, but what about that process in the background? That process was cultivated because there was a question. Can I take this potentially poisonous water, mix it with these very difficult grains, and create an energy source? And the answer was yes. We created this magic potion that converted water and grains into an energy source that gave life to societies. Genius. So let's take a quiz. So what do you see now? A beer? Not this time. But it is an energy source. And if this were a picture above Lake Geneva near the chateau of Jean-Claude Biveau, the CEO of Hublot, the luxury watch manufacturer, this would be a precious commodity that's harvested just one time a year. One time when the alpine flowers are at their perfect bloom. Because Jean-Claude Biveau, while he's a legend in the luxury watch industry, he is also a purveyor of some of the finest cheeses in the world, in Michelin star restaurants around the world. He believes that cheese is his monastery, right? That's where he does his process thinking. We all need that monastery. And what we're seeing milk stirred over an open flame with hand-cut, seasoned lumber. I mean, this is the pinnacle of gastronomy. I mean, we are we're looking at a symphony between food and our environment. Well, truth be told, Monsieur Biver needs a factory. Now, what we choose to call cheese most likely will never see the lights of a three Michelin star restaurant. Maybe not even a 3-star restaurant, but most likely it probably went through a factory of factories before it made it to our table. And that factory of factories was created to feed us, to feed the masses. So the question is, where did it all come from? Where did all this food get to our table? Well, it didn't get there simply. If you want simple, you got to pay for simple. Take, for example, the fresh chives that Thomas Keller puts in his dishes in the French Laundry restaurant in Napa Valley. Those are taken right across the street from a garden. But I don't think I want to be paying that bill every night. You pay for simplicity. That's the fact. You pay for simplicity. So, but it's why do we get to this point? We get to this point because we've abstracted. We've taken things away from where we're going. So is our America's table simple? Well, the answer is no. They're laden with food, but they're laden with dairy that's been processed to the point of killing all the friendly microbes. You've eliminated all of the good things, maybe brought them back in as cultures. White breads that have been bleached with wheat flour, chelated vitamins and minerals added back in, processed meats infused with antibiotics. It's all a process, and we developed this process because we needed to feed the masses. So the question is abstraction a good thing? It absolutely is a good thing. It allows people to innovate. For example, take the engineers from BMW. If they had to hand forge the tools that they make for every single vehicle, do you think they could be inspired to think about the i3 and the i8 that are changing the world's perspective on electric cars? Raw materials need to be processed in stages. Speaking of raw materials, there's a new field at hand. Now, this picture, granted, is not rolling hills or alpine meadows, but to a data scientist, this is a thing of beauty. Raw material just ready to be shaped. For us, pretty daunting. Are we actually going to be able to extract something interesting from these digits of data? Well, we're back to foraging. We all take our smartphones and we're foraging. 1, 2, 3 swipes across all the LinkedIn profiles, trying to find something interesting. What we really want is simple. We want information, right? We want information. We want simple answers. Lots of data, big data, simple answers. For simple answers, you need a factory. To convert raw materials to accessible forms of energy, you need a factory. To convert data to information, you need data centers. Lots of data centers. Humming away in the background while we dream about new questions. And isn't that what it's about? New questions. Answers are status quo. Evolution is thinking of new questions. So if you want to think about new questions and you want to find new answers, you need factories. Factories take up energy. Sources tell us that 300 gigawatts of power are now devoted to data centers. That's 30 large power plants dedicated to our quest for new questions, new information, and new answers. How can we protect in this environment? We've abstracted our IT processes for good reason. It allows innovation. It allows us to move more quickly. But what is going to allow us to achieve balance? I can think of 3 things. Consumers could advocate. Governments will mandate. Businesses can innovate. I choose innovation. How about you? So you are the stewards of sustainability for your organizations. My question to you is, will you go to your organizations and hold them computationally accountable? The technology's there. Your teams can provide this information. You can know what your computational footprint is. You just need to ask a new question. Can you account for your computational footprint? You can, but will you? Well, at Verne Global, we've contracted 100% renewable power sources for a long time that are well priced for business, your business in mind. And when you come to Iceland to celebrate with us, your pint glass will be a little colder, naturally. Cheers.